That awkward moment where you have to ask your brother who you sold to slavery if he's going to kill you now that your father's dead. We've all been there. Shalom, I'm the Messianic Torah dude, and this week's Torah portion is Vayechi.
Lights go down when we hit the stage. The heart of the crowd begins to race. The people in the chairs all take a stand. We're rocking and rolling for the son of man. Rocking and rolling, yeah.
Vayechi, or and he lived, comes to us from Genesis chapter 47, verse 28 through chapter 50, verse 26. And as we pick up in this week's Torah portion, Jacob, or Israel, is about to die. Him and his whole family are living in the land of Egypt. And Joseph is the second highest ranking person in that kingdom. Now, in chapter 50, starting in verse 15, we have this story of the brothers coming to Joseph after Jacob's death. And it says, when Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, "It may be that Joseph will hate us and pay us back for all the evil that we did to him." So they sent a message to Joseph saying, "Your father gave this commandment before he died. Say to Joseph, please forgive the transgression of your brothers and their sin, because they did evil to you. And now, please forgive the transgression of the servants of God of your father." Joseph wept when they spoke to him. His brothers also came and fell down before him and said, "Behold, we are your servants." But Joseph said to them, "Do not fear, for am I in the place of God? As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, to bring it about so that many people should be kept alive, as they are today. So do not fear, I will provide for you and your little ones." Thus he comforted them and spoke kindly to them. Now, it's easy to look at this on a surface level and think, this is almost like one of those, like the ending of The Godfather, where Michael's like, no, I'm not going to kill everybody, and then he kills everybody. It's easy to think that maybe Joseph was planning revenge, and this was just his clever cover story. Yeah, I'm gonna get him. Oh yeah.
Yosef! Hey, you remember all that stuff we did to you when you were a kid?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do.
You're not gonna get back at us for that, are you?
What? No. Okay. Thanks. But in reality, Joseph was telling the truth. He was saying how he felt and what he was going to do. And this teaches us three important things about forgiveness. Now, when I talk about forgiveness, there are a lot of definitions about forgiveness, and a lot of times we understand kind of in a vague idea what forgiveness is. But what I'm talking about when I say forgiveness is giving up the right to get even. Meaning saying, I am not going to try and get revenge, and I am not going to allow myself to feel justified in seeking revenge. So this passage teaches us three things about forgiveness. The first thing is know that it's not your place to seek vengeance. Joseph said, "Am I in the place of God?" Because you see, when somebody wrongs us, they wrong God first. And the converse is true. When we wrong someone else, we wrong God first. David, after he has slept with another man's wife and then murdered that man to hide his affair, he says to the Lord, "Against you, O Lord, and you, Lord, only have I sinned." Now, the guy that he murdered would probably, if he was alive, argue with that. The reason is because David was understanding that doing wrong to somebody, first and foremost, is doing wrong to the Lord. This is further backed up in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 35, where it says, "Vengeance is mine, and recompense for the time when their foot shall slip. For the day of their calamity is at hand, and their doom comes swiftly." This is the Lord speaking specifically to Moses and the people of Israel. The second thing that this teaches us is that no matter what wrong befalls us, no matter what wickedness people do to us, the Lord will bring about good. Now, that doesn't mean that the Lord is going to make everything end all sunshine and rainbows and, your dance team saves the youth center or whatever. But it does mean that the Lord will bring about good. Cookie break. Dude!
Aw, Josh, did he take your cookie? Hey, that's not a big deal. Let's go for donuts.
Alright!
Leave the controller!
For example, in Joseph's case, he was able to save hundreds of thousands of lives, maybe even millions, because he was able to prepare the nation of Egypt for the famine that was coming. He was able to do a lot of good for the people that he was taking care of in prison and things like that. So, in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says, "And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for the good, for those who are called according to his purpose." So we kind of have a reassurance that even though people mean things for evil against us, even though people mean to do us harm, the Lord is still capable of taking that disaster and turning it into something good. Maybe not even something that we would consider good for us, but something that would be in general good for everyone else. See, it helps us to forgive when we understand that our lives will never be so broken that the Lord cannot bring healing and restoration to it. And the third thing we see in the way that Joseph took care of his brothers afterwards is that forgiveness seeks to restore the relationship. He was seeking to rebuild things and repair that connection that was really destroyed by the wrong that the brothers did. Many times it tells us to forgive one another as the Lord has forgiven us in Yeshua. And when we look at the Lord's forgiveness, not only does he say, "I'm not going to punish you for the wrongs that you've done," but he also seeks to restore that relationship and to rebuild that connection. If you look at all of Scripture, it's essentially a story of the Lord pursuing us and seeking to restore the connection, the closeness that God and man had in the very beginning, in the garden. And the way that is done is through the restoration that can only come through Yeshua. So what are some other things that have helped you forgive people in the past? Let me know in the comments, and if we gave you a laugh, give us a like, and if you learned something, give us a share. I'm the Messianic Torah Dude. Shalom, and stay in the Word.
Aw, did he take your last cookie?
I had to unpause it.
Well, and I also
Kick the thing.
I didn't
We
go
tried it.
right.
There's no. We only have 4 takes, guys.